Have you ever sat and told yourself after a traumatic experience that, that wasn't so bad? I mean, other people have it way worse than me. Or maybe you've looked at your life, your job, your relationships, whatever, and thought, I should be fine. So why do I still feel so off? Girl, same. Here's the thing. Not all trauma looks like some dramatic headline. Sometimes it's small, quiet. Sometimes it's just life being a little overdramatic. And sometimes trauma is the stories that we don't tell, the BS that we've learned to normalize, or the feelings that we shove down just enough to get through the day. In this episode, I sit down with therapist Ashley Steineckert from Happy Tides Therapy to talk about everyday trauma, why your pain does count, and how therapy can help you feel more like yourself again. This is Humning. Let's get into it.
The Humning podcast is all about the imperfect art of being a human, where we learn from wellness practitioners ways to heal, love, and grow. Brought to you by Zivora Marketing, the anti-sleaze marketing agency for wellness pros. Your audience doesn't need more gimmicks. They need clarity, trust, and a reason to believe in what you offer. Zivora helps you educate, inspire, and connect with future patients through honest content, automated systems, and branding that feels like you. Because real impact requires real alignment. Visit ZivoraMarketing.com today.
How did you get involved in therapy? I don't even know your backstory.
Okay, so personal side, my parents got divorced when I was like 10, and then my mom got us into therapy. I literally couldn't tell you what I ever talked to that man about. I cannot remember anything, but I can totally remember sitting in his chair and just like the feeling of like it was safe. And so I remember as an adult being like, well, I want to do that. Like that's a really cool job. And so I really did just kind of start being like, that's my goal, is I want to just be a safe place for people, whether it's therapy. I did victim advocacy forever, for years. But yeah, I think that's always kind of been my, like, I'm a helper. I want to help. That is the core of who I am, is a helper. So yeah.
But that's the whole, and that's, again, why I love this. I'm not in this industry. I'm just in awe of
Observing,
yeah.
Yep.
And that's the core of all of my clients and all the people that I've met, is just like, I just want to help, you know?
Yep.
And, you know, we'll get into this in a little bit later, but the business side sometimes falls away.
Totally.
Because they're like, I will help you. I'm here, you know, that's my mission. That's my purpose. Which I think is really great, because so many people need it.
Everyone needs it. Whether you think you do or you don't, everybody needs therapy.
Well, and I hear that all the time, you know, and I told you the other day, I don't go to therapy. I don't have a therapist. I like life coaching.
Yep.
Because a life coach will tell you what to do and say, like, here's my problem. Yeah. And he'll be like, yeah, that's an effing problem. Here's what you do about it. And when I've gone to therapy a couple of times,
they're like, so
here's my problem. And they're like, well, how does that make you feel? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you want me to do? And they're like, what do you want to do? I'm like, yeah.
So I will say this. I had a session. I get like excited when people kind of just stuff clicks. Like it genuinely, as a therapist, it gets me. I get like butterflies because I'm like, oh, something's clicking. But this guy last week was like, I wish that everybody knew this stuff. He's like, why doesn't, and all I was teaching him is that you can change your thoughts. That's it. Literally. I'm like, you're in charge. You get to change that. And he was like, what? Like, and it was really cool to have him be like, why don't more people know about this? Why don't more people know that this is like within you, I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah. And I've had those aha moments many times too. It's just like, wait a minute. Like, I get to choose this?
I'm in charge?
I'm in charge?
What?
I was working with a life coach many years ago, complete opposite of me. Straight, bald, biker, leather vest, like, take me, and he's the exact opposite. But I dug him, and he dug me.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I was his only gay client. He worked exclusively with straight men, and I was the anomaly.
How did you even find him?
I don't even remember.
Okay.
Don't even remember. But his whole thing was, once you get out of survival mode, you go into a maintenance mode, and then you go into a creative mode. And I thought at the time, I was just like, I don't understand creative mode. What are you going to just be an artist all day long? Didn't understand it. Now I get it. What is creative mode for most people?
Creative mode to me, I'm smiling because I'm like, it means you're finally out of freaking like survival. You're letting yourself be calm. I think that's like the word that comes to mind is I'm like, you're breathing, you're calm, you're letting yourself / creativity. Holy crap, we could go on about this forever. I think so many people cut creativity out of their life.
You work with a lot of people who are dealing with trauma. So first off, what is trauma? And then how does it sort of show up in people's lives?
Big question.
I know.
I'm like, wow. Trauma can show up in so many freaking different ways. Trauma to me is something when it just doesn't feel good. Like it does, to me, it doesn't have to be like a huge bomb goes off or a whatever. Like to me trauma is something like when it just feels awry, right? Like the inner is not calm anymore. What was your second question?
How does it, like, how do people get trauma? Like how does, you know,
does trauma happen?
How does trauma happen?
Oh, we could go into such a long topic about this. Okay, my thought is, and there's so much freaking research on trauma. There's, I really believe that like the house that we're born in, like we're taught pretty quickly coping mechanisms or not, or healthy coping mechanisms or not, right? So I'm like, I think that some people, like for you, trauma could be that you got in a really bad car accident.
Right.
Maybe I've been in 17 car accidents, and to me, I'm like, really? That's your trauma? Right? And not ever that we're comparing, but like,
but I think that's a thing.
Trauma is a personal thing. Trauma, I can't sit there and say your trauma is better than mine or bigger than, and I think we kind of talked about this. Like, trauma is its own independent thing of what's going on inside of you, I think. And that can happen from relationships, that can happen from abandonment, that can happen from domestic violence. Like, there's so many ways trauma can happen. I think everyone in one way or another in their life has dealt with trauma, period. Like that is just like kind of the shitty reality of life is that all of us are going to have at some point deal with it or have already dealt with trauma.
But, you know, again, like I don't go to therapy because I'm like, well, my trauma's not as bad as other people's. I have a house, I have food, I am safe, you know, I'm not living on the street, blah, blah, blah. So it's hard for me to feel bad when things happen, when I see other people suffering so much more.
I think that's the comparison part though, right? And for me, I'm like, you can't compare. You can't do that. Because to me, it's, you know, like when people say, I totally know how you feel. Like, no, you don't. Because you're not me. Right? So me and you could experience the same exact freaking thing and have completely different reactions, outcomes, whatever from it. I could walk away completely unscathed and you could like have to be in the emergency room for 4 days. Right? I'm like, so to me, I'm like, no one gets to judge your trauma. No one gets to say that is or isn't. If something's happened to you that feels shitty, that's real. You get to validate that without having to go, oh, but theirs is so much worse. Like, look at what they're going through. Because does that mean that I'm not hurting still? Because theirs is so much worse? No, like it still hurts over here. So to me, I'm like, comparison doesn't do anything. That's just kind of trying to maybe minimize almost in a way, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think that is a lot of what we try to do.
100%.
Is just minimize, like, that hurt, but it's okay. You know? And then that's a thing where you're really kind of pushing
your emotions down and maybe not feeling them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how does as a therapist, how do you work with somebody who's taken emotions or trauma and pushed it down to be like, it wasn't that bad. I'm not gonna dwell on that.
I mean, I have so many people in my life that do that. Literally, just today, I was talking to somebody about her being a people pleaser. Because I think that we kind of learn these coping skills, people pleasing being one of them, to almost avoid some of the shit we're going through. You know what I mean?
Perfectionism.
100%. 100%. So, you know, specifically with her, she was going on about, you know, something going on with her daughter and her husband and this and this and this and this and this and this. And I was like, well, but how do you feel about it? And it was like, well, what? Why would you even ask me that? And I'm like, you get a say. You're part of this too, right? And I think people have become so, what's the right word? Cut off from their emotions that we don't even know how to freaking feel them. Slash, here's my other, I'm going to go on a little pedestal for a minute. As kids, we're never, at least me, I know for sure, like, you're not taught about emotions. You're not taught about what's okay, what's not okay. And to me, I'm like, that's so freaking important, so that as adults, we learn that if I'm feeling something and I don't know what this is, I don't want to get rid of it. I want to get curious about it. I want to go, wait, what's that about? Instead of trying to push it down, because to me, that's just creating more trauma.
Yeah.
And then you get sick, and then you get stomach aches, and then you get headaches, and like it just stays. So, yeah.
It's also a generational thing, because my boomer father just does not talk, period. But he certainly doesn't talk really about his feelings or emotions. Like, so whenever you go to a diner and the waitress comes up, how y'all doing? Dad's response is always going to be fair. If it's not fair, then something is bad.
Fair?
Fair. And what's funny is the waitresses will be like, well, honey, what's going on? How can I turn your day around? And we're all like, nope, he's good.
He's fine.
He's
That's
fine.
just his
That's,
always.
That's a standard. Awesome. Fair.
Fair. Just fair. I'm good. Fire. It's not even good.
Yeah, not even good. Because if it's good, then I'm like, why? What happened?
What the hell is going on with him?
Did you get some last night? What's the hell? What?
I will say, okay, so the generational thing. I think we talked about this before too. Because maybe as a therapist, I'm like, I think we hold on to a lot of stuff that no longer serves us.
Yeah.
When it comes to generational shit. I've felt that like so much in my own life, and I think that that's been really empowering as far as like teaching other people. Like, okay, so your great grandma from 1784 made that rule. Oh, we're still obeying that rule in 2025? Why? Why? And it really is just like, why? And I think there's a generational gap of, no, we don't talk about that. It's the whole child should be seen and not heard. Yeah. That whole thing. I'm like, that is such a fucked up way of thinking, but it is such a generational way of thinking. Like, no, you're not. Why would we talk about that? Why are your feelings important? Like, and then we wonder as why adults we have such issues with our emotions.
Now, are younger generations breaking that? Because I feel like there's so much more access to podcasts and information and the web and all that type of stuff. Like, does Gen Z need therapy?
Everyone needs therapy, yes. But like you even said it earlier when you were talking about your life coach. Or maybe it was your therapist that only worked with the niche of old elder gentlemen. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I think it is changing. I think people are, I hope is people are becoming more comfortable and recognizing like therapy's good. Therapy only helps. Like if you get a cool therapist and a good therapist, like it's only there to help you. Yeah.
So what, as somebody who hasn't gone to therapy, what's the experience like?
Okay, so I'll tell you, this is probably one of the first things I say to people when they come in, is therapy to me is a neutral person. So me over here, getting in your brain and going, wait, why do you live like that? What the hell is going on up there? And it is just somebody, it's a neutral person out here to go, you know that we can figure some other things out besides just that, right? I think one thing that I say a lot in therapy is, and this is not technical by any means or scientific, these words are not going to be any of those things, but I think we have these like little rivers in our head that we have literally just drilled into our head of this is the way that things should go. This is the way that things should go. This is how I've always done it. And my job as a therapist is to get in your brain and be like, but what if we try that route? Or what if we put some beavers in that river that you've been working on for 45 years and try something different? Let's just see. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but let's just see. Mm-hmm. That's what therapy is to me, is literally just trying to see things in a different way than I always have. Because for the most part, if we're doing things the way we always have, nothing's going to change.
Nothing's going to change.
Nothing's going to change. So turns out, yeah, you're kind of in charge and have to make some of those on your own.
Can a person, though, be their own therapist? Hear me out.
Okay, I'm waiting. I won't judge before I hear what you're about to say.
Well, because your example hit, because I woke up a few weeks ago and I looked at my life and I was just like, well, this is a dumb way to live. And from that came fucking this, you know? Mm-hmm. And the changes that, you know, I'm doing and the journey that I'm on. Yep. So I've done a lot of work on myself, so I feel like there's a certain amount of scrutiny and self-realization. I could probably go faster with a therapist.
This is what I'll say. And while you were talking, this kind of just popped in my head. I think there's the difference between, there's people that want to grow, mm-hmm. and then I think there's people that are completely fine where they are.
Yeah.
But neither's bad. Like it's fine. If you're comfortable where you are, perfect. That's great. To me, and this is another thing I say in therapy a lot, is I literally hope that we are open until the day we die. Because to me, that means we're learning. Uh-huh. That means we're growing. That means that we're not just seeing only my perspective, because this is the only perspective I'm willing to look through. And if we're willing to get, like, so in that situation, you just said, you looked at your life and you're like, wait, I'm in charge here. Mm-hmm. Number one, I get to make the rules here. I don't love what's going on. And then the growth mindset is what was like, let's do something different. Mm-hmm. Versus some people that are like, oh, well, I've just been doing this for so long. And, oh, I don't know. What if? And to me, I'm like, no. Like, the whole fucking point of life to me is to learn, to grow, to be curious, to look outside of yourself, to look outside of your own perspective. Because, like, how boring is that?
Right.
So boring.
But I really feel, because I'm, in my head, I'm thinking of some people in my life who are in that scenario mm-hmm. where maybe they want to change, yep. but they have absolutely no idea how to get started. And their environment is such that it's not a conducive one for growth and change. This is the way it's always been. Everything's done fine so far. Why change it? What would you say to somebody like that who is just kind of stuck?
Challenge it. Like, literally the first thing that while you're sitting there, I'm like, if you're stuck, we're stuck for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. We're there for a reason. And so again, let's try this route instead. Let's just see. We've always gone this way. For the last 30-something years, this is the same thought that I've always had. Let's just see. Because what is it going to hurt to just think about this route instead? And then see how that feels, right? Like, if that feels okay, like I can do something about that. I think, again, one of the biggest things that I remember, like as an adult, learning as an adult, is like the responsibility is on me. Mm-hmm.
Nobody's coming to save you.
Period.
Yep.
Like, and I say this a lot in therapy too. I think 0 to 18, we don't have a ton of control of what's going on. Usually we're parents, grandparents, whatever. Like, but 18 up, guess who's responsible?
Yeah.
You are.
And nobody explains that.
You are, right. And I think that's the thing is I think a lot of people like to, and I want to validate this too, because I'm like, people like to blame their parents. People like to blame, which parents suck. And parents have caused so much trauma, 100%. But like, at the end of the day, I'm in charge of my life. Not my mom, not my dad, not my siblings, not anybody else. I'm the one that's in charge. So 100% of that is up to me to navigate. If I don't like the way I've been doing things for this long, who's that on? Me.
Yeah.
I can't blame anyone else for my stuff. I have to put that on me. So that legit as an adult, that was such a like awakening of like, no one's going to save me. No one's going to like, no man's going to run in on his white and shiny armor. Like that's just not real. Like I'm in charge. And so what do I want to do with my life?
Yeah. And what's scary for me is when I stop and I look and I'm like, oh, it's been 5 years since the lockdowns. What the hell? I mean, but then I stop and be like, okay, no, you've gotten a lot accomplished. New business, new content studio, new brands. Like, give yourself some credit. But still, I'm like, 5 years, I could have done so much with that.
But Sam, that's where to me, like I if I could, I would literally tattoo this on everyone's head. Give yourself some fucking grace.
Thank you.
That is like literally the biggest thing. Because I'm like, do you think anyone has known how to survive the last 5 years? No. And I think that's another thing. I'm like, all of us are pretending. Every single one of us is pretending. And if you think that someone's not, bullshit. Everyone is pretending. Everyone's figuring it out as they go.
Yeah.
So that to me is like...
And figuring it out without like, we had a blueprint of life before COVID.
Yeah.
And I followed it growing up. Go to school,
Yep.
get a job,
Yep.
work your way up the corporate ladder, spend however many years and get your gold watch.
Yeah, this was my plan.
Yeah. It wasn't even my plan.
This is the journey someone told me I needed to go on.
I just graduated college, you know. And so, yeah, so at least pre-COVID, we had a plan to follow. Wasn't great. But to your point, we are now, nobody knows what they're doing and nobody has a plan.
Which is scary. But at the same time,
Right.
it's like, I mean, yeah, we could go into so many things right now. But this goes back to, for me, and this is another thing I teach in therapy all the time. This is your circle of control.
Yeah.
So what is within my circle of control? Well, I can't control a pandemic, that's for damn sure. I can't control there's not jobs around, right? Like, so to me, we go back to what can I control? And so in this situation, what can I control? Well, I can control what I do with my time now, right? So during COVID or whatever, like, yeah, I've got to figure something else out to feel like I'm productive or whatever. But it all goes back to this to me. Like, if we can't control any of this outside shit.
Yeah.
And so why stress about it? Why worry about it when literally my hands are tied? I cannot do a damn thing about that stuff. While still showing up, right? Like while still showing up for people, while still being there for people, and
But that's in your control.
that's in your control.
I should. Yeah, and
Exactly.
you know, I'm going to go back on the pity train for a second because during all that time, it's just like I could have done push-ups.
I could have six-pack by now. Why don't I?
Right? As Samantha says, shoulda, coulda, woulda. So, but yeah, when you're in those experiences, your circle feels like it's getting smaller. And it's hard to, with social media and all the information that we have, to feel like you still have control.
Totally.
And not just sit there and doom scroll all the time.
Okay, so this was a little like epiphany for me. I don't even know how many years ago. But like kind of like you just talked about, like we always think we have a plan, right? Like you think that life is supposed to go this way. Life is like, I'm going to do this and then this and then this and this and da 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 da. And forever I wanted kids. Like I was always just wanted to have babies. And I remember, I don't even know how long ago it was, but I remember being like, okay, so don't currently have anyone to impregnate me that I want to get pregnant by, first and foremost. I don't want to be a single mom, obviously. So I'm like, how can I show up? How can Ashley show up? Well, Ashley can show up 100% in being an aunt. Ashley can show up 100% in being a sister, a daughter, a friend. And I can show up like a badass in every single one of those ways. So I'm going to, because that's within my control. I don't have any control over finding a partner that I want to be impregnated by or whatever. But I'm like, but I do get to control like what I put out into the world, right? So if that's what I can control, I'm going to be damn good at it. And I'm going to be kind and gracious and all of these things because like that's what people deserve, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of this just like epiphany of like, I don't have a lot of control of a lot of things, most things, but the things I can control, I'm going to be good at it. And I'm going to show up really well for it too.
That's really powerful. Because you're right. You have the control of certain things, and that's kind of it.
That's it, yeah.
How has these big life events that we have collectively shared, 9/11, the pandemic, wars, all this other stuff, probably more wars soon.
Not funny. Ugh, not funny at all.
How does that affect us collectively? Like, what's the collective trauma that we're all sharing, and how should we be speaking about it to others?
Oh, Sam, this is hard. I think so much of our world, especially right now, is fear-based thinking.
Yeah.
That is just so much period. It's fear-based thinking. I'm like, that's it. And like, that doesn't do anything. It's just scary and it makes you feel even less out of control and it makes your circle feel even smaller and smaller and smaller, right? Like, and when you think about it like that, you're right. There's so much we can't do. But to me, I'm like, I don't know. There is so much that we can do as like a collective because we are in this together. That's the craziest freaking thing is we are all doing the same damn thing together. And a lot of us are experiencing a lot of awful things going on in the world. And so like, again, showing up how you can. Like, how can I show up? How can I be there? How can I, for so many of these people that are hurting, right? But yeah, I think as a whole, it keeps us in survival is what it does. Like, because fear-based thinking you're not thinking like good. You're not thinking positive. All that you're thinking is, oh shit, what if, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And so like, of course that's going to keep you in survival, which then makes nobody their normal self. Because when you're in survival, you're not even kind of like the way, and I love this because it's so fascinating to me, but like when you're literally in survival, your brainstem stops working, like fully stops, just turns off because your brain knows exactly what to do, fight, flight, freeze, all of those things, right? And so when it's in survival, it's completely shutting down, not processing, not thinking rationally by any means because we're surviving.
Yeah.
So if we're all sitting in survival, do we think we're being rational? Do we think that we're being realistic?
Is that then how you show up, just sitting there doom scrolling and on your couch for weeks on end?
Is that how I show up?
Is that what, if your brainstem has shut down and you're in survival mode, is that what manifests as doom,
I think,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's like disassociation too, right? Like we're completely trying to remove ourselves from so much of this shit going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard because like as a therapist, I see so many people that are being impacted by, I have something in my mouth, by the world right now. And it's really hard because the system is so broken, it's just awful. But I think that, again, it comes back to like, how can we show up for each other? How can we be there for each other through all of this hard stuff? Because going back again, none of us have a freaking clue. what any of us are going through personally, right?
Right. But we're all going through something.
But every single person you meet, I promise you, is going through something.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah.
You have to give yourself the same grace that you give every other person in your life. Period. Like, and that's another thing is you would never say to your best friend or your dad or your brother, you fucking idiot, why are you so slow? Why are you so stupid? Why do we say that to ourselves? Like, why do we speak to ourselves like that? And that's real. Like, why you would never say that to anyone you loved. Why do we do that to ourselves? And that's where the grace comes in, right?
And how do you help a client through that? Because it is ubiquitous. We all do it. How do you help somebody stop that negative self-talk?
The negative self-talk is, again, one of those things that's drilled in our head. It is something that we have known from this big. And that's what I mean, like before 7, yes, that negative whatever, that reinforcement that I'm not important or I'm not worthy or I'm not seen or I'm too much or whatever those things are. That's such a core wound. That's such a like river that we have told ourselves for so freaking long that to me, I'm like, it really comes back to loving yourself. And I know that's so silly, but it's so much about learning to like, I'm good. I'm good. Even if this isn't perfect, this isn't perfect, this isn't perfect. Like, I'm showing up and I'm trying every damn day and learning how to love yourself back the same way that you give it to everybody else.
Yeah, because the getting down on yourself is so much easier.
It's the easiest. Well, that to me that's the easy way to go because then we don't have to really like worry about. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's just just the easy way to go instead of going, okay, but that's okay. Let's go. Anyway.
Do most people want to improve and change, or are most people sort of like a little stuck and content?
That's a good question. I don't know that I can answer that because I think it's a mix.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people who, I mean, like we were just saying, you know, the older generation who kind of are like, why would I want to learn anything new?
Right.
I'm 75 years old. What else do I need to learn in this world, right?
Right.
Literally.
But I literally think that if you're still alive, there's something.
Well, and that's why I say I hope you're literally on your deathbed.
Yeah.
And you're still going, okay, teach me.
Yeah.
Okay, teach me.
Yeah.
Because that to me, you're growing, you're open, you're learning. I can't say that I think it's a mix. I don't know that there's one or the other, but one thing I say is you're responsible for your energy. Period.
Yeah.
So you're responsible for the energy that you bring into a room, that you take from a room, that you whatever. And so, yes, you are. Like, I mean, Sam, you probably know, like, the second you walk into a room and you feel like you're like walking on eggshells,
Yeah.
you know that feeling. And I'm like, that's shitty. That's a terrible feeling. But we're responsible for our own energy. So like, if that's me, I don't want you taking that on. That's on me that I'm being whatever that day, that I'm moody and whatever that day. Like that to me, I want it to be so separate. You know what I mean?
And that's a really responsible thing to be able to know, because as a parent or as a spouse, like you can walk into a room having had a bad day, and if your family member has had a great day, you can ruin it like that.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Well, and think about it like this too. Like dad comes home from work, right? Mom and the kids have had just a perfect, wonderful day. And then dad walks in and is so ornery. And so then the kids are just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, and what a whiplash experience that is too, right? Like, and then how do I know how to act? So yeah, that goes back to, yes, you're responsible for your energy. You're responsible for yourself, just period.
Yeah.
And you're responsible to learn. That, like, to me, it is a responsibility to learn and grow. And I think there's so many people that just are like, I'm good where I am. I don't need to know more.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know, and I've heard so many people so many times say everybody needs, therapy, needs a therapist. I don't know about group therapy. I don't know how that would work, but it seems like if you've got nothing and you're in a group therapy session and it's teaching you
Something.
all of these things, something's better than nothing.
And again, to me, all that therapy is going, let's just think of it in a different way. Let's just try.
Yeah.
Because for this many years, we've done it like this, right? Hasn't really worked for us so well. So.
Or you maybe have to learn that. Like you have to
Exactly.
learn, like, hey, you're not in a good space.
Well, okay, let's take me for a person. Like, I'll be personal here. I found myself in relationship after relationship after relationship that was proving it was always the same test.
Yeah.
Every single time, the same test. And finally, it's like, okay, Ashley, like, what do you need to learn?
Mm-hmm.
Because you haven't learned whatever you need to learn from these 18 other things. So what is, and that to me is being aware enough to be open.
Right.
And so many people aren't. That's what's hard. And we can't force people. You can't ever force someone to be open to it. It's has to come from them.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah. No, everything is a lesson. You're going to get the same lesson
Over and
until
over
you
and
learn
over
it.
until you learned it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully I've seen enough to be like, okay, yeah, this is something I've got to. This is here.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to learn here?
Yes.
Oh, great. This,
Yep.
So,
No, exactly. Exactly.
that's crazy. This is a podcast of vulnerability and curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've asked questions about you. What sort of marketing questions do you have about your practice that you're looking for answers on?
How to even start it, first of all. I mean, the longer I'm doing it, the more I realize I'm like, I really like working with adults. I think that
Do you work with many kids?
no.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, I don't. Because I think that that's where, I don't know. I think that that's, so I guess I want to know, like, for marketing stuff, I'm like, I want people to know that therapy's normal, number one. That's probably the biggest thing. There's not anything bad about therapy. There's nothing taboo. It's such a, like, again, I'm like, it is solely just a neutral person who tries to help you just kind of see things a different way.
Yeah.
And so,
Which is a really great way to put it because, again, you're a trauma therapist. And so when I'm thinking about somebody who's gone through traumatic experiences, I'm all like, well, I don't need to go bother Ashley about my little problems. But, I love, it's an exercise of looking at things a little differently.
yep. That literally is, literally.
Yeah.
It's somebody popping inside your brain.
Who doesn't want to sit and talk to somebody? Because you cannot talk to your friends all the time
Right.
about the stuff that's really bothering
Right.
you.
Or your friends are going to just be like, oh, it's not that big. It's whatever.
You're fine.
Right.
Yeah. Don't be so dramatic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, having that third party. And in business is the same thing. Like, I've had so many times building my business where I'm like, who can I run this thing by? Because I can talk to my friends and they're going to love it. I can talk to ChatGPT and it's going to love it.
Best idea
Best
ever.
idea ever, dude. I'm like, are you sure?
Are you positive?
Really?
ChatGPT? Sure.
So, having a neutral third party who's going to tell you the truth. Now, do you tell somebody when they're just wrong?
Yes.
You do.
Well, okay. So the way I like to do therapy, I'm sassy about it, right? Like, well, has that worked for you?
Uh-huh.
Right? Like,
Right.
okay, so we've been doing that for a while. Is that working? Yeah or no? Or this people pleasing thing, like how many people have we pleased in our lives by being such a good people pleaser? So I like to, it's a little bit of a challenge, right? But more, like you said earlier, about therapists versus the life coach. Therapists want you to know, number one, you already have everything you need inside of you. Period.
Yep.
And so as a therapist, you want to teach someone to recognize those tools and to recognize, like, how important it is. And I think I'll go back to, like, so many people lose their own power, period. I think they think that someone's taken it from them or someone has to give permission or whatever. To me, it's coming back to who you are and what, like, originally, where your power is based. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We're infinitely powerful and we are infinitely creative.
And we are infinitely worthy.
Yeah.
We are freaking worthy. We don't have to do a damn thing on this planet to be worthy,
Right.
to be important, to be seen, to be whatever.
Yep. I think the one thing we have to do is just be as good of a human as we can be.
I will say this, and this is kind of like my motto. As long as you're not being a dick
Yeah.
or an asshole and not hurting people, who cares? Like, it is, if it doesn't impact you personally, why do you give any shits about it? Whatever it might look like, right? Show up like a kind human, be a good human, show up and just be kind. I mean, that is, my mom taught us I was this big. Kill them with kindness. Kill them with kindness. Because everyone's going through something. Holy shit, everyone's going through something. And you just never freaking know. And kindness doesn't cost a damn thing.
Really doesn't.
It doesn't.
It really doesn't. And I don't want to get on my soapbox, but
I want to hear your soapbox.
I've never understood, like, everybody's being mean to the trans community right now. I don't understand why they're not hurting anybody. They're not out there doing anything.
Can I say something about that? I think, because we talked about this a little bit earlier, the fear. And I think people get stuck in the fear.
Fear, yeah.
Because, like, I'll be very honest. My little brother came out lots of years ago, and I grew up Mormon. And I grew up with this religious background of, not gays are bad, but, like, gay is not okay.
Yeah.
Gay is not cool, right? And then I remember, like, when he came out, I was like, but he's, like, the coolest person ever. And he's really kind, and he's really good, and he's all of these things. And so I'm like, it goes back to be curious, not judgmental. Be curious. You never freaking know what anybody's ever going through, ever. And all it takes is just to be kind. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hope that the internet and information is helping people. Obviously, there's a negative side to that. You know, my marketing mentor told me once that, you know, you have a lot of power to influence people. Use it for good. And there's a lot of negative actors out there, but I think there's more positive than not. And so I think, and I hope that more people are opening up to being kind and understanding that therapy is okay and there is not a shame to it. And your trauma is not measured against somebody else's.
If you went through something that's real, that's real, period. No one else has to validate that for you.
Yeah.
If you have pain, if you have hurt, if you have whatever, that's real. And so.
Or if you just want to improve.
Or if you just want someone to talk to and just want someone to bounce stuff off of. Like, and again, it's just kind of teaching some of those tools, I think, that none of us really learned, right? That emotions are okay. Emotions aren't scary. Emotions are actually really amazing.
And men can have them.
And men are so allowed to have emotions, turns out. They are.
They do. They just don't show them. Like, they're there.
Yes.
And they're acting on them.
It's just giving. Okay, let's talk about that. They're acting on them. But, like, when we have these huge emotions and we act on them, is that, like, the best way to do it? Or do we maybe, like, navigate it before it gets huge and we act on it?
Right.
Right? Because to me, then I'm like, that's not the emotion.
Right.
It's reactions or whatever else, right? I don't know. Maybe that, I don't know if that makes sense, but.
But it's then having the wherewithal and the knowledge enough, the self-reflection enough to be like, maybe I didn't handle that right, or maybe that's not right. Maybe I should go talk to somebody and find out.
Self-reflection. That's a perfect word. I think that there has to be some amount of owning your own shit before therapy even does anything.
Yeah, because you could be in therapy and be stuck.
Literally.
Yeah.
You can be in therapy and not go anywhere. But yeah, until you're ready to kind of, like, take your shit by the horns and be like, okay, this is mine. Let's figure this out. There's no point. Right?
No.
Yeah.
How do people find you?
Oh, I'm on Instagram. I have a website, sort of. I'm creating.
We're gonna get that. We're gonna get that there. We're gonna get that together. We'll help you.
I am in Hillcrest, but I'm actually licensed in. So I'm a licensed clinical social worker, licensed in Utah, California, and Nevada.
Great.
So I do
And
telehealth.
I was gonna say telehealth is great.
People love telehealth.
Yeah.
People love telehealth because you can literally just be in your bed
Yeah.
and be like, "Cool, let's talk therapist," and it's so convenient. But yeah,
And safe.
and safe.
And you don't have to do the car thing.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
People love telehealth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that makes it so much more accessible. No, you don't have an excuse anymore.
Right. Right.
You've got no excuse.
Right. And therapy, like, yes, therapy can be really expensive, but there's also some pretty affordable stuff out there. There's people that have sliding scale fees. There's people that have free spots in there, whatever, or like, but yeah, so I'm like, therapy's not, I think it used to just be so taboo. Like, you have to have a lot of shit to go to therapy.
Right.
You have to have a lot of issues. And I'm like, no. You don't have to be anything to go to therapy. You
And
can
it's
go
not
whenever
like,
you want.
you know, with the cost thing, you don't have to go every single week.
Right.
You don't have to go for long periods of time.
Right.
I'm assuming you can start and stop and that be a healthy thing.
This is my thought on therapy. And maybe this is, I don't know if this is right. I don't want people to come to me for 8 years.
Right.
Or 3 years or whatever. Like, my goal, again, is to teach you that everything you have is already in you. You're already so freaking powerful as is. And to go off and do that.
Yeah.
Like, to be like, go free bird.
Yeah.
Fly,
Fly,
bird.
Show me what you create.
But literally,
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Go see what you can do with this now. Now I have this new information or I have these new tools.
Yeah. And if somebody scares you or you get hurt, you come back to me and I'll.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to handle a situation, we can talk about it. But I want people to, the biggest thing I want people to recognize is you already fucking have the power in you. You don't need permission. You don't it's all already there.
Didn't we learn this with Judy already?
Judy?
Judy Garland?
Oh yeah, see, duh. Like, Judy? What Judy are we talking about here?
The Wizard of Oz. You had the power within you all along.
I know it sounds so cheesy, but it's so freaking real. I think we give away our power to other people. We let other people decide how they feel about us, and then we take that on as our own, which I'm like, what? Why are we giving the power to anybody else?
Yeah.
You already have it. It's already all there. And so legit, as a therapist, that's one of my favorite things, and was when it starts to click and people start to be like, oh, yeah, you're right. I do get a choice in this. Oh, yeah, I matter too. Oh, yeah, I get to a say, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because you have revalidated me in this session.
Good.
Because I was in the creation of this brand and podcast, I was asking other people, like, is this a good idea?
What do you
Should I do
think?
this?
What do you think?
And I was looking for permission. And now, I mean, the train is out. We're we're barreling down. But it's just like, here it is. I
Here
hope
it
you
is.
enjoy it.
Yep.
I hope you get
Yep.
something out of it.
Yep.
And I hope you turn in next week. And I hope you subscribe.
We hope you subscribe.
This has been a lot of fun.
It's
I
been
really
fun.
appreciate it
Thank
very
you,
much.
Sam.
Of
This has been
course.
really fun.
All right, that's it for today's episode of the Humning podcast. Brought to you by Zivora Marketing. Want more wellness? Grab a free guide that goes deeper into today's topic at human.ing/episodes. And if you're not already following along on Instagram, I'm over at human.ing, sharing more behind the scenes, reflections, and ways to keep humaning through life. Okay, it's your turn. Go human the hell out of today.